a whole bunch of new screenshots, a trailer of Kelp Forest, and some really huge Rehydrate Relief news, plus a discussion about the future of SpongeBob games. We discuss it all in today's episode of The Rehydrated Show, a one-stop shop for all things rehydrated. Here's your host, Riders DX. Sorry about that. I just wanted to show off the new bling that I got. You're jealous, right? If you're not, then you should be. Anyway, hello there beautiful human. My name is Riders DX. Welcome to my channel where today we've got yet another rendition of The Rehydrated Show, your one-stop shop for all news rehydrated, along with the Rehydrate Relief as well. And so, this has been a pretty crazy week obviously, and we're getting so close to the game. I've got two different analyses in this video. We've also got a discussion with Dave Ace about potential sequels or remakes in the SpongeBob franchise after Rehydrated. And of course, I got some Rehydrate Relief news I want to go over. I'll have all the timestamps listed over here so you can jump to whichever section you like, but let's go ahead and get into the show. We're going to start today's show with our typical news roundup where I go over all the different news bits with Rehydrated. The first thing I want to mention is that we got 9 brand new screenshots of the game, and so the way that these screenshots got released was actually very strange. Basically, there's this media site on THQ Nordic that you can access, and it has a lot of different promotional materials for all the different games, so you can find high quality versions of the box art, the logos, screenshots, trailers. And so THQ Nordic randomly dropped 9 brand new Rehydrated screenshots on this site. I've got an analysis later on in the show where I go through all 9 screenshots and analyze them myself. The next thing is actually not related to Rehydrated, but I thought I would just mention it because a lot of people have been telling me about it, and I even made some posts about it on Twitter. Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix has been officially announced. There's an official trailer and everything, so y'all can go check it out if you like. I am going to make my own video dissecting that trailer and everything that we know so far, so stay tuned for that. Obviously, things have been really crazy, so I haven't really had the time, but I am going to be making that in the future. So just know that I do know about the game and I am going to be making a video about it, so stay tuned. The next news item on the list is that Rehydrated obviously is getting very close to release date, and we started seeing some footage circulate that I guess I would consider leaked footage because it's not coming out on an official site, and it really just seems like recorded footage from copies of the game that should or should not have been released to the public. I've been getting a lot of tweets in particular asking me to talk about the leaked footage, and I'm just gonna make this really clear right now. I'm not going to be discussing or mentioning or promoting any footage that's not officially released or approved by THQ Nordic. They have an embargo for the game. I'm actually getting a review copy, and so the least I can do, especially with everything that they've done for my channel and basically all of you guys, is to respect that and to not discuss anything that they didn't intentionally release. And so thank you so much for asking about the leaked footage and being interested in what I'm gonna say, but I just want to make it very clear that I'm not going to partake in circulating that at all. Now, about footage that THQ Nordic did circulate, they released a Kelp Forest trailer this past week, and so as you guys can expect at this point, I've got analysis for that too in this show, so stay tuned for that. And the last thing I want to mention, I already mentioned this in a previous episode, but I want to make sure I mentioned it again because it's actually happening tomorrow. But IGN's Summer of Gaming event is going on very strong, and tomorrow's show will contain both exclusive footage and an exclusive interview about Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated at IGN's event. I'm still not sure what time it's happening, I just know it's happening tomorrow, so I guess keep an eye on IGN's social media to kind of see when it comes up. I'm sure they're going to be streaming it on all sorts of different platforms, and I'm sure some people within the community will be live streaming their own reactions to it as well. And definitely just be on the internet because you'll definitely see eventually. But as all for this week's news roundup, now I'm going to go briefly into the Rehydrate Relief. And so, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Rehydrate Relief is currently happening. And so what do you all think about the relief so far? Are you all liking it? Do you all think there are some places that can improve? I know we had some hiccups here and there with some streams, but to be honest, any live stream event is going to have that at this point. I've come to accept that. Let me know in the chat box below what your favorite stream has been so far. I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts. My personal favorite is actually kind of surprising to me. I didn't really expect to enjoy the stream so much, but I really love Veteran vs. Noob. I felt like they had so much energy in their stream, and also they donated a bunch of money from that stream as well, and so you you guys did an awesome job. I just wanted to give you a quick shout out for that. I really did enjoy your stream. This has not been like formally announced in video. I mean, we've all made tweets about it and we've been mentioning it constantly throughout all the streams, but just to make it very clear over here, we are officially giving away 7 copies of Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. 2 of the copies were copies that were donated by people within the relief. 1 donated by Sheriff the Great and 1 donated by Zach Pack. But now we got 5 extra copies to give away, including 1 fun edition, and these are all donated by THQ Nordic. And so guys, that's completely insane. THQ Nordic actually let me know about this Friday morning before the relief started, before I was actually heading out to work. And so you could imagine my reaction when I was supposed to get into my car and start driving, and THQ Nordic suddenly sends me this message saying that, oh, we're gonna give you 5 copies including the fun edition, and you're gonna get to give them all away during the stream. I'm like, what? So if you have not donated, then please consider donating. You just need to donate $1 and make sure you select the reward on Tiltify to enter the giveaway for a chance to win. I will be doing the giveaway live on stream later today, and so you only got like a few more hours left to donate. So if you've been kind of debating whether or not to donate, then this is your last chance, you know, because after that giveaway, we're not gonna have anything else to give away. We want it all gone. We don't want to hold on to any of it. We want you guys to have these copies, including that really awesome fun edition. So please donate if you're interested. And the only other thing I want to mention in terms of Rehydrated Relief, so this is something that has been in the works for a little bit, but I'm gonna formally announce it right now. We are officially doing a second round of the relief. The reason that we're gonna be doing a second round is because, one, I really wanted to involve more speedrunners into this relief, especially after Shift's involvement, and so I want to kind of do a second round and just incorporate many more of those people, just so like this can really be a community-wide event. But also with COVID-19 going on, obviously that's a really important cause, but another cause that's been rising up that's been really important as well is the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, I am a firm believer in equal rights among all different ethnicities and minorities. You know, being a minority myself, I definitely empathize with what they're going through right now. It's absolutely terrible. You know, just the systematic racism that's still living in this country, like it actually makes me like really sick. But I'm trying to stay as positive as possible. We're going to be raising money for Color of Change. I think that's what the organization is called. It's basically a Black-led organization that fights for the rights of Black people. And we just really wanted to make sure that we were hitting this cause as well, because this has been a really huge deal within our country. And I really thought that this would be a great way to not only raise awareness for it, but also do something about it. And so here's the best part, in case you were wondering, I'm opening up signups for the relief to everyone. And so I'm gonna leave a link in the description box below to a survey where you can fill out the times that you would be able to stream. And then if you fit into the schedule, I will personally reach out to you and ask you to be a part of the relief. This way, I want to make sure that we give everyone a chance to at least be a part of it. I will say though, depending on how many people sign up for it, I can't promise everyone a spot, but if you're interested, then please sign up for it. Who knows, you might be accepted to be a part of it. So there you go, guys. But that is pretty much everything I wanted to say. It's been an exhausting week, guys. Like, I am so exhausted, but I'm so happy at the same time. I'm so grateful for how much money we've raised, and it honestly is just a dream come true. And I can't wait to see you all live in a few hours. That's pretty much everything for the relief news. Now we're gonna go into the first analysis of this episode. I'm going to be analyzing those 9 brand new screenshots that we got from THQ Nordic. And so here we go.
I think I'm becoming a cruise boosting king, collecting shiny objects like Sonic with the rings, going all the way to SBA. I only want one thing, to see that shiny object bling and hear that sweet ka-ching. No, I don't speedrun, but I know a thing or two. I can get to Patrick's Rock and Mrs. Puff's boating school, but that statement there isn't even really true. I think I was daydreaming about a BFBB2. Disable the hand, yeah, it's part of my plan. It's the only way that I become the man. The player you all know in the game that I ran, it's Battle for Bikini Bottom. I know that you're a fan. Faster than the others, you can say that I surpassed. Cruise boosting all day, I'm having such a blast. Speaking of which, this flow is kind of slow. Let's kick it into high gear and get going fast. I need to rehydrate. Cause faster is better, I am getting all that cheddar. Way too fast for you to measure, to speedrun is to pleasure. Can't control me, cannot tether. This no Minecraft, this no Nether. Do not bother, do not pester. This a song for my brethren. Seriously, shout out to everybody in Rehydrated Relief, Riders DX, CNB Extra, Sheriff the Great, oh, I'm running out of time. Back to the song. Going all the way to SBA because I only want one thing, to see that shiny object play and hear that sweet ka-ching. And no, I don't speedrun, but I know a thing or two. I can get to Patrick's Rock and Mrs. Puff's boating school. But that statement there isn't even really true. I think I was daydreaming about a BFBB2. Faster than the others, you can say that I surpassed, but when you clicked this video, you knew it would not last. I was cruise boosting earlier, but now, it's in the past.
Hey beautiful humans, it's Riders DX, and we got our first analysis of the episode here, which is of 9 random but really awesome screenshots that THQ Nordic just like randomly dropped on their media site, you know, not even like publicly anywhere, just like dropped there. And so I don't really know if any like press site actually posted these. We just shared these on Twitter and they look awesome. So let's go ahead and dive into each screenshot. The first one I want to talk about is this shot of SpongeBob's dream. And so this is obviously the main area that you would go to when you first enter the level. And the first thing that I'm sure that we all want to point out is the fact that the SpongeBob model here is not in a T pose like the original version was. And I don't mind it at all. I think this one has a lot more character, and so it looks goofier, a little bit funnier. So I think I actually prefer this one. Although I will admit there is a bit of a charm to the original T pose. Like it just made this dream world just seem that much more exotic, abstract, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but I do like this change, so I don't mind it at all. We also got that pink orange gradient background, and I think that looks nice too. I know some people would have preferred the original pattern that was in the original game, but I think this is a nice substitute. It kind of makes it seem more dreamy, I guess, you know, more like dream world like in the typical sense. I don't know how else to describe it, but I don't really mind either way. And just something that I wanted to point out, SpongeBob himself here looks really tiny in comparison to the entire screen, and it just makes the game seem like it's got this really huge scope. And I don't know, it's just gonna feel like when I'm playing the game that I'm this tiny little fish in this huge pond of like extravagant sea creatures and such. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like it just makes this game seem so big, and I'm so excited to get my hands on it. Like it's gonna be great, guys. The second screenshot is of Robot SpongeBob, and so this is a boss that we've seen plenty of, but there's something here I want to point out that I don't feel like I've seen at least as much in other like clips and screenshots of it, and that's the background. You know, you can actually see the wall textures pretty well in this one, and I don't think it was as clear in footage or other shots before. Like it definitely seemed like it was more blacked out in previous shots, and so I'm not sure, maybe as you go to different locations within the boss, the lighting changes depending on like where the sun's reflection is, and that's why you can see the background here. It looks very solid. It definitely still looks very dark and very final boss like, and yeah, I'm really excited to play this. Like as I stated before, this is my favorite part of the original game, so I'm really looking forward to reliving this in the remake. At number 3 we got Sand Mountain, and Sand Mountain is one of the only levels that we really haven't seen much of. I think we've only actually got like 3 seconds of footage in all the trailers that we've seen of Sand Mountain, and so it's really cool that we get to see this section. We've definitely not seen it before, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I think the fog effect that they got going on here is just the right amount, you know, not like that clip in the trailer where there was just so much fog that you couldn't see anything beyond like Sandy. And so I think this looks really nice. You can kind of take a look at the buildings in the background there. We haven't seen those before, especially the number 2 and 3 ones, and you can kind of see the shiny object requirement for them. And I don't know if that was seen before in other footage, but this is the first time I feel like I've noticed it at least. But overall, I really like the blue color scheme that they got over here. It's slightly different from the original, but still really does maintain that feel, and so I'm really into this. At number 4 we got a kelp forest. So I'm not going to spend too much time here because I'm going to be analyzing the kelp forest trailer right after this, but I'm just going to say that like it looks absolutely gorgeous. We do get a close-up of the stone tiki here, and the stone tiki just looks awesome. And something that I really want to point out that I really like about this shot is the waterfall. The waterfall has a bit of a 2D look to it, which is an interesting choice, but I kind of like it actually. It kind of makes the game feel more cartoony, and SpongeBob is definitely the franchise that you want that to be in. You don't want these environments to look really realistic, and so I really just think that everything in terms of the aesthetics of this level really like help elevate each other, which is awesome to see. At number 5, we got a shot at downtown Bikini Bottom, and so I don't really have too much to say about this one. We've seen downtown Bikini Bottom quite a bit in previous footage and screenshots, but we do get another shot of Mrs. Puff here, and she looks like she's having just about as much fun as she did in the original. We also got the SpongeBob over here, so that looks really good. Downtown Bikini Bottom looks gorgeous. I'm really happy to see how it's turned out. The next one we got over here is of the Industrial Park boss, and I'm really liking Robot Patrick's expression here. He looks just as like airheaded as the original Patrick does, and so it definitely follows through with like who Patrick is a little more compared to the original one in my opinion. And Industrial Park looks really solid as well. There's not really much else to comment on. We do see Sandy here, and so Sandy looks very small in comparison to the robot, which is supposed to be the case, and so I'm really liking this. The next shot we got here is of the Murmelator, and the first thing I noticed here at least was Patrick's expression as he gets closer to the golden spatula. He looks like he's in awe of its shininess, of the glow and all that, and I don't know if that's an intentional animation. Maybe it's just something where Patrick just looks like that when he's jumping, but it'd be really cool actually if the characters changed their facial expressions as they got closer to collectibles, and so I don't know if that's the case, but I think that shot matched up perfectly. And the Murmelator itself looks really good as well. I have commented on the Murmelator plenty of times before, and so it does look really good. You can kind of see Mermaid Man in the distance back over there, and obviously there's not really too much we can go off of, and there's not much we can tell based off the shot, but I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Mermaid Man looks like just sitting on that couch. It's gonna be epic. The next shot here, I think this is my favorite shot of the screenshots that we got, but we got to see the hub world, and I am absolutely blown away by how the hub world looks. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The first thing I really wanted to bring up was the fact that you can see the Dutchman's graveyard in the background, and that looks gorgeous. One of my favorite things about the original game is that when you're in the hub world or in any other level, you can kind of look out in the distance and see what else is there to explore. You can see what other levels you have that you can go to in the future, and so that's why it's such a tease, you know, being able to see like all these different locations around the hub world, being like, okay, this world is so big, and you gotta get really excited to explore all these locations, and that's definitely how I felt as a kid. And man, they just took the idea and made it even better in this remake. I'm so excited. I'm also loving how the Krusty Krab looks as well. It just looks very solid, and you can also see a small shot of Plankton at the bottom left, and I don't know guys, Plankton is definitely one of the highlights of this game. Can't wait to listen to his iconic quotations in the game. The last screenshot that we got here is of the Dutchman's graveyard, and we get a really close look at the Flying Dutchman here, and so I really wish the Flying Dutchman was transparent. As you can see in this screenshot, the Flying Dutchman is not transparent at all. He's very solid in his color, and that was not what the original did. I don't know, maybe it's just because of the art style of the game that they felt like that just fit better. I do admit, I think he might look a little bit weird if he was a little bit transparent in this art style, but I don't know. I feel like they still could have made it work somehow, and I don't know. I just feel like that would have been better in terms of maintaining the Dutchman being a ghost. The lighting in this level though looks really good. I had kind of mixed feelings of what I've seen in the Dutchman's graveyard so far, but I think this shot looks really nice, and I'm really excited to play it. It definitely was one of the best levels in the original game. And yeah guys, that's pretty much everything I have for these screenshots, so let me know in the comment section below which screenshot was your favorite and what was your favorite detail. Was there a detail that I had not seen that I should have pointed out? Let me know that as well in the comment section below, and just yeah, thank you so much. Coming up on the show, we've got an analysis of the Kelp Forest trailer released by THQ Nordic last week, and also we've got a discussion with Dave Ace about the future of SpongeBob games. And so, are we going to be seeing more new games, or are we going to be seeing more remakes? We'll be discussing all that very soon.
This is a work-in-progress version of Bikini Bottom Tales. Everything here is subject to change. Time for a wonderful day of jellyfishing! I'm ready. Holy Neptune! My shoe's untied! Tying in my shoe, tie in my shoe. Ah, that's better. Huh? I don't remember painting in here. Holy fish paste! Gary, did you do that? Meow. Plankton's robots? Didn't we get rid of you guys like 16 years ago? Something strange is going on around here, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. As long as there aren't any spooky monsters. I don't really do good with spooky monsters.
You could say I had that course licked.
Hey guys, so we got our second analysis of the Rehydrated show here, and that is of the Kelp Forest trailer. And so just a fun thing to make note of with this trailer, when THQ Nordic released this, they actually gave a shout out to one of our Rehydrated Relief members, which was Dave Ace. He was streaming at the same time that they released this, and they even came to Dave Ace's stream to come say hi to everyone. And so that's really awesome. THQ Nordic just like, you know, no matter how this game turns out, you know, it could be like the worst game ever for all I know. I have so much respect for THQ Nordic, you know, they've done so much for the Relief, and I'm just so appreciative and so happy that they want to be involved so much. And so thank you, THQ Nordic. I don't know if you're watching this or not, but just thank you. I appreciate and love all the support you've given to us so far. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive into this trailer analysis. To be honest, before I actually move on, I don't really have too much to say about this trailer, just because I think I analyzed Kelp Forest to death in the last episode with that GameStar footage, but we did see some new things here, so I will point those out. But for number one, I just wanted to point out that this level just looks gorgeous. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I think that with the footage that we've gotten recently, it wasn't the highest quality that was available, and so with this trailer that was released on YouTube, we got to see it in like as good of a quality as possible, and my gosh, it just looks amazing here. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and the colors contrast so well, and Kelp Forest has literally gone from being one of the worst looking levels to one of the best looking levels. Like, I actually can see things, and so that's definitely a plus. But it's another thing that it just looks like a luscious green jungle, and it definitely just, they did an awesome job of this. Like, well done. The second thing I wanted to point out is that we got to see kelp caves for the very first time. Now, I know this is a section that not a lot of people are actually a big fan of, just because of the whole mechanics of it in terms of having to go back and forth to the bus stop, switching between SpongeBob and Patrick. But I will say though that the kelp caves themselves look really, really good over here. They still maintain that dark feel, but it definitely is easier to see things throughout the kelp caves here compared to the original. It reminds me of the outside. Like, it looks very similar to the outside actually, which was unlike the original, where the outside kelp forest was dark but still kind of had some light coming in. but then you went into kelp caves and it looked like you went into like the basement of the kelp forest. It had a very different vibe to me, but I feel like the kelp caves look a little bit more similar to the outside portion this time around. Like the lighting just seems very similar, and it might actually be kind of hard to tell that you're inside now because it looks very similar to the outside, but that's just my opinion. If y'all have a different opinion, then let me know in the comment section below, but I personally think that it looks very similar to the outside, and I don't really have an issue with that because it still looks gorgeous. Like, look at it. It looks absolutely great. And number 3, this was a detail I was surprised to see, but when Patrick is holding his throw fruit, if you get to the point where the throw fruit is about to wilt, it actually will start flashing white colors, and it's a really obvious indicator that that fruit's about to go, and you better do something with it soon, otherwise it's not going to survive much longer. And so I think that's a really cool feature. It is another one of those like accessibility changes I think they made just to make the game a little bit like more obvious in terms of like what's going on. And I know that that was something that would ruffle like new players going to the game for the very first time, and so I'm hoping that people that play this game for the very first time, having no knowledge of the original, do have an easier time to at least adapt to the game's mechanics, and then after that are able to enjoy the game for what it is. And so that's my overall take on that. And number 4, another real small detail here is that when you go to this part of the kelp caves, you can see the power crystal that you're supposed to collect for Barnacle Boy, and it is now blue instead of purple / pinkish. You know, that was the color in the original one. And so I'm not really sure why they decided to make that change. I guess it kind of fits the color scheme of Kelp Forest a little bit more, but I don't think the purple would have like detracted too much from the color scheme either, but that's just my opinion. But the crystal does look gorgeous though. It looks absolutely gorgeous, as a crystal should look. I think in the original game the crystals were a solid color, like it didn't really have too much shading or too much of a gradient color pattern to it, and so it definitely looks prettier here. And at number 5, this is actually my final bullet point. Like I said guys, I really don't have too much to say about this trailer, but at number 5 we got to see the kelp slide for the very first time. And the first thing I want to point out is I think this footage is older because as you look at the kelp slide, you can see that the white lines are much more prominent here compared to other trailers that we've seen recently. And so I do believe that the white lines that you see around the screen are not as like in your face here as it is in the actual game, just based off what I've seen in terms of other footage. And so I do think that this footage is older. The kelp slide still looks really cool, don't get me wrong, but one thing I wanted to point out is I'm not really sure what section of the kelp slide this is, because this section looks very closed off actually. You see all the vines that are everywhere, you know, kind of surrounding you. It actually seems like that these are blockades possibly that might make it harder for you to fall. I don't want to say that that's definitely what it is because I could be totally wrong about that. It could still be the case where you could still fall despite everything that's around you, but the kelp slides definitely look a little bit more closed off compared to the original. And so I'm wondering if they actually like added barricades around the slide to make it a little bit easier to navigate, which I have mixed feelings about because the kelp slide is definitely one of the most painful sections of the game by far. So many people hate this slide, and for good reason, but at the same time there's always a lot of satisfaction from completing such an intense and difficult slide. And so I'm not really sure, you know, I could just be making something out of nothing, but I really do think that this section looks a little bit more closed off compared to the original, because otherwise it just does not look like something from the original slide at all. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm not really sure which statement I just said is true, so let me know what you think. And that's pretty much everything I got for this trailer. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you all like Kelp Forest? Do you all not? Let me know why or why not, and let me know what your favorite level is. I'd be really curious to hear that. And for those of you that are watching during the relief, I hope you've been enjoying the show so far, and I'm hoping you're loving all this Rehydrate discussion. But yeah, thank you so much. Coming up on the show, we've got an in-depth discussion with Dave Ace about the future of SpongeBob games. Are we going to be seeing more remakes? Are we going to be seeing new games? Why or why not? That discussion is coming up. Welcome back to the show, everyone. And so we got our next part of the Rehydrate show over here. This is our discussion portion, as you all have probably come to understand at this point. And so I've got a very special guest over here, so I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, I'm Dave Ace. How's it going? Thank you for having me.
So if you guys have been watching this channel for a while, then y'all should know who Dave is. He's been in a few videos at this point.
Right. Writers keeps mysteriously getting my number.
See, I come from a family that works for the FBI, and we are very good at rummaging through phone books and such and obtaining personal info. So
just look under the Ace section in the phone book, you'll find me.
Yeah, so we got a pretty interesting thing we're going to talk about today. And so even though Rehydrate hasn't technically come out yet, there's definitely been a lot of discussion about the future of it. So that's kind of what this discussion will be focused on. But before we dive into that, Dave, surprise, surprise, is also a part of the Rehydrate release. I don't know if y'all have recognized the theme with the guests so far in the show.
Am I?
But
I mean, I take that as a surprise. I didn't know I was part of the relief. Just kidding. I knew.
But yeah, so Dave, you are a part of the relief, and so how do you feel about this whole campaign and being a part of it?
I feel very I'm trying to find the word. I feel very expressive towards it. I thank you for inviting me to come on to this, and I feel very happy to be helping out with such a relief. Doctors Without Borders. Everything that we're doing for this charity is going towards a good cause because of everything going on right now. Obviously, this whole campaign, correct me if I'm wrong, is going towards doctors who need supplies.
So basically, Doctors Without Borders is an organization that basically funds healthcare towards areas that need it. And so this could be like medical supplies or sending out actual teams to areas that are in dire need. There's actually a few Native American populations that they've recently gone out to because they were hit really hard by COVID in particular. And so that's where our funds are going to. So it's definitely a very noble cause.
Right. And I do feel very happy to be a part of this. Every kind of charity event that I have the opportunity to take part in, I definitely want to take part in it. This one specifically, due with everything going on in the world, I am very happy, as recently stated, to be a part of it.
I'm very happy to hear that. So it's kind of cool because I originally got this idea when I saw the way that Sam did his charity with the Sonic one, Gotta Stay Home. I thought that was just such an awesome way to bring the community together, and so I'm glad that we have something similar going on for SpongeBob, especially with Rehydrated coming out in a week from now, if this thing comes out the date that I intended to come out. But anyway, shifting gears now, we're going to talk about the future of SpongeBob games after Rehydrated comes out, because I think we're all really excited for Rehydrated to finally release. I mean, it definitely feels like a long time coming. It's something that people have been asking for a very long time, but not a lot of people have really dived into what we might see afterwards. And so THQ Nordic, as of a few years ago, have bought all the Nickelodeon licenses, and so they have the rights to make more SpongeBob games after this, unless Nickelodeon does anything crazy afterwards, like maybe give the license back to Activision, who knows. That would be quite a day for the community. Anyway,
You hear that, Nickelodeon? You hear that?
Nickelodeon, I hope you're getting the message. What exactly is going to come after Rehydrated is anyone's guess. There could be more remakes, for instance. There could be brand new games. And so we're going to kind of just talk about like what it is that we love to see from the SpongeBob franchise after Rehydrated comes and goes. And so I guess the most obvious place to start with would be like if we actually would see any more remakes after this, because Battle for Bikini Bottom was definitely a very obvious choice in terms of getting the remake treatment. But there's definitely been cause to remake other SpongeBob games or even Nickelodeon games after this. So Dave, what are your thoughts on more remakes?
More remakes. I feel like it depends on the game that they start off with when it comes to remakes. So if we think about it, and I don't mean to, you know, throw any shade towards anybody that wants more remakes, because I myself am in a position where I'd be like, okay, remakes are cool. But from a standpoint, I don't feel like, I mean, obviously, SpongeBob specifically speaking, I don't feel like they're going to go back and remake any of the other games, just because the only other games that I personally would want to get a remake, or get this kind of remake treatment, would be Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, or as most people would also want, a movie remake. You know, SpongeBob the movie. SpongeBob the movie, the game? Is that what it's called?
I call it the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game, or the SpongeBob movie game, or you know what, movie. Right. But let's just call it movie.
We'll just call it the movie game, not to be confused with the upcoming movie. Now, obviously, Revenge of the Flying Dutchman won't see the light of day ever again. It's okay, I understand, I can accept that. But the movie, as much as I really would love to see that get a remake, I just don't see it really working out in its favor. It's like, if I could just pick some bones in the Sonic fan community. It's like when people ask for, I'm gonna get a lot of slack for this, it's like when people ask for an Unleashed PC port. If I'm just being honest, this is the exact same equivalent. Sure, a PC port of Sonic Unleashed would be fantastic. Everybody would love that. But it's such a niche audience that they're trying to appeal to when you actually port that over to PC. So Sega not going through with that, technically, they don't see it as profitable. People behind the idea of PC Unleashed port see it as profitable because they want it, right? They don't view it as the entire community behind the franchise. They view it as themselves. Yes, I would lay money down on a PC port of this. So it's probably within Sega's best interest not to port it because they, as of right now, don't see it making a lot of money. The same thing I feel is applied to the movie game. A lot of people want to see it remade just solely because it was the game that came after Battle for Bikini Bottom. It used Battle for Bikini Bottom's engine and took a lot of inspiration for what Battle for Bikini Bottom had. And everybody sees that as like the, you know, would some people call it the direct sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom, in a sense?
I consider it a direct sequel, to be honest. I mean, it has the same engine. It takes the original gameplay and expands upon it and tries to do a couple different things here and there with it. So I would consider it a direct sequel, and I totally understand why people would love to see a remake of it. But I totally get you too. It's a very niche audience, not in the way that Battle for Bikini Bottom was, where a lot of people, like, I would say that Battle for Bikini Bottom was kind of niche in itself, but it had multiple niche audiences, if it makes sense. Like, you had the speedrunning community, obviously, that was a huge one. You also just had the general audience that grew up with the game, and you also just had like people that were reminiscent of that time. But the movie game doesn't have as big of a diversity in terms of its audiences, unfortunately. And so it really is just people maybe like you and me that grew up with the game, that would like to see it come back, that would love to see it. But since it's tied so much to the first movie, it would be kind of interesting to see how they would promote it.
Yeah, that would be another thing, because if they did go through with this remake, you'd also have to view how they market it, because this being a game that was supposed to be, you know, as like a way to push, like, hey, there's this big movie, you can also play and get the almost the exact same experience out of it. With there not being a movie like that right now, trying to see them market it would be very interesting, and I feel like a lot of people would just look at it and be like, why would I want this when the new SpongeBob movie is just about to come out and it has nothing to do with this?
Yeah, and so I totally get it, and I pretty much share the exact same views on it. I mean, yes, I did enjoy the movie game. You know, it was definitely a good successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom. It did a lot of good things. It also did some things that I wasn't as fond of, but that's for a whole nother day in terms of discussion. Right. But yeah, the movie game kind of just, I don't really see it as being a profitable venture in terms of games to remake. And I actually think that that's the closest SpongeBob game that I think could warrant a remake. I mean, there's a lot of SpongeBob games that I love to see get the remake treatment, but I just don't think the support is behind it. And so I guess we're kind of saying that there's not really any SpongeBob games that should get remade, at least in our eyes.
Not in my opinion. Now, if we're speaking out of the realms of SpongeBob games as a whole, and we're talking about Nickelodeon games, I see it being a profitable thing to, I don't know, remake Nicktoons Unite?
I think that that's a potentially good idea, and the reason I say that is because that would just be nostalgia overload.
It would be. While it's still nostalgia, either way, because that's what a remake's supposed to do anyway, it's supposed to hit that nostalgia bone. It takes the characters from that game that we don't even see in today's like version of Nickelodeon. We don't see Danny Phantom, we don't see Jimmy Neutron, we don't see who else was a part of it. Well, Fairly Odd Parents just got done, like I think the show's done with now. And with you going back and remaking this game that obviously we loved, you're also doing the exact same thing for this new generation that probably looked at those shows and were like, oh, I wonder what those were about, you know? You're introducing it to a whole new audience, just like you're doing with Battle for Bikini Bottom. That's the way I view it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Battle for Bikini Bottom created like this initial wave of nostalgia for Nickelodeon games, but I think a Nicktoons Unite, or maybe even just like a remaster of the original games, that could be really profitable, because you see how many like petitions are out there for like reviving Jimmy Neutron, or like Danny Phantom, or you know, Butch Hartman gets a lot of views off his videos teasing like Danny Phantom in 10 years or things like that. There is definitely an audience to see those Nickelodeon games come back. I don't think there's enough of an audience to bring like their own separate games back, you know, kind of like Fairly Odd Parents, Breaking the Rules and such, but I think the Nicktoons games would be an interesting and potentially profitable thing to do next in terms of remakes.
And plus, I mean, this also could help Nickelodeon out in a sense by just looking at the overview or the overall like people interested in this game, and you know, see what they're talking about. Maybe they're buying it for Danny Phantom, maybe they're buying it for Jimmy Neutron, and Nickelodeon takes that feedback and it's like, okay, now we see why they bought this game. It wasn't because of SpongeBob, it wasn't because of Timmy Turner, it was because they had deep interest in Danny Phantom or deep interest in Jimmy Neutron, so that could possibly lead to Nickelodeon making changes and arrangements for bringing back those specific shows.
Now, in terms of the actual games, I'm just gonna be completely honest here, they weren't my favorite games in the world, but I think it would be very interesting to see them brought back nonetheless. I actually think it'd be much more interesting to see those characters brought back in a brand new adventure, but I think a remake is probably more likely since THQ Nordic does have the rights, and I just don't personally see what other games would get a remake that would make sense. That's a lot of talks about remakes and such. Definitely let us know in the comment section below if y'all agree with us or disagree with us. I can already tell there'll be some movie game fans that'll be mad at us, but
There's gonna be a lot of Sonic Unleashed fans mad at me.
But let's try to stir the conversation into a more exciting direction, which is like the other idea of what could come after Rehydrate, which is a brand new game. Just to support the fact that this is a good discussion to have, when I did my interview with Martin Crouch from THQ Nordic and I asked him about potential sequels to this game, his face definitely lit up, and he confirmed that the team had already been talking about what they would do if they got to take like maybe the same engine and make a brand new game out of it. And so that's definitely something that's on the cards. In fact, it's actually pretty much a given because you can't make remakes forever, so there will be a new SpongeBob game at some point.
Yeah, eventually.
But the team seems especially excited about it in particular. And so, Dave, this is a really broad question, but is there anything in particular that you would love to see in a brand new SpongeBob game?
Anything, like, at all? I'm not really sure. I mean, in a new SpongeBob game, and see, this also like spirals off of what we were just previously saying as how the movie game was potentially considered the sequel to Battle for Bikini Bottom when it originally came out. I'd personally like to see them taken in a direction where this next game builds off of where Battle for Bikini Bottom left off. And I've expressed this idea to you, I think, a couple of times.
I think so too, actually. I don't quite remember what you said though. I just remember really liking it.
Yeah,
you told me.
So let me just get my elevator pitch out of the way. Here's how I would direct the SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom sequel. All right.
Ooh, this is really exciting, guys.
Now,
like, this is actually, I don't remember what this idea was, but I remember like loving it and like asking you to like make a video on it.
Oh yeah, I would love to make a video on it. I just haven't had the time to get all my thoughts together on it. But essentially, so the story, as I mentioned, is going to take place after Battle for Bikini Bottom. And the reason I did this was because me and writers were actually talking about it, and we came to, you know, this conclusion that Battle for Bikini Bottom kind of ends on a cliffhanger, but at the same time, you know, just kind of ends. You know, it's just like, okay, it ended, it's over. But the one thing that I pointed out was it can't be over because there's still robot planktons being duplicated and arguing with each other. What's going on? How is Plankton going to take care of this army of robot planktons that are arguing and bickering at each other when they want to overthrow the original Plankton anyway? So I came up with the idea that if there is going to be a sequel, I'd pitch it to where the robot planktons agree to work together instead of fight one another. And from that, they split the entirety of Bikini Bottom into separate separate parts for each to control. And that would be the plot device. That would be what's driven, because now everybody thinks everything's back to normal. It's been a couple of months, you know, since they were last at the chum bucket, left Plankton doing what he was doing with the robots, and now Bikini Bottom is being zoned off into separate sections for each robot Plankton to take control of. And in each section you could have, like, I don't know, a robot version of a character also help this robot Plankton take control of the area. We would see returning areas from the from Battle for Bikini Bottom, and I would love them to include Glove World. Would love Glove World to be a part of it. And the only other like thing that I could add on to this is returning characters such as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy being playable, but also the addition of Squidward being playable, because I know that would be a big thing that a lot of people would be looking forward to. Obviously, I won't go too far into this idea because I might make a separate video on it. I don't know. We'll find out. But that's essentially what I would love to do.
I definitely would love to see you expand on that topic, because it definitely is a really cool idea, and I never really thought about Battle for Bikini Bottom ending on like a cliffhanger, because it doesn't really feel like it does, but it technically does, because yeah, where did all those robot Planktons go?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously, if the original robot Plankton couldn't stand Plankton to the point to where he had to overthrow him, imagine Plankton being in the middle of like 7 of them.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to control that.
Definitely not. You know, Plankton is pretty much doomed in that aspect. I actually think it'd be really interesting if all the robot Planktons, like once they went off to just separate locations, if they started like developing their own personalities.
Oh
and,
yeah,
like,
that's another thing that like came to mind when I was writing all this down. I had like this one idea where there's like this one robot Plankton that wants to be evil, but at the same time is like really nice. He's just like really nice. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess you could come in.
I think there's a lot of potential in that story idea, and I think incorporating both locations from BFBB, but also trying to incorporate some new ones would be really good. Something I personally would love to see is something that takes place on dry land. I don't know how that would work in terms of the storyline.
Well, I mean, he's a robot, so he wouldn't be at any kind of disadvantage.
Yeah, maybe like one of the robot Planktons will plot to like go up to dry land and get some kind of like immense resource that will help them take over Bikini Bottom, and like the whole gang goes up there and the whole gang goes up there and they turn into their dry land like forms, and you know, they have to like make like new models and like new attack animations and everything for like the new models. You know, if you all have never seen like the realistic sponge costume in the movie game, that's exactly what SpongeBob should look like in that level.
That's funny. That's great.
In terms of the gameplay, I want to shift the discussion towards that. I definitely think using now I'm getting Bikini Bottom, Battle for Bikini Bottom confused in terms of the wording. But in terms of Battle for Bikini Bottom's main gameplay, I definitely think they need to just take that and just use it again, because we just got it back in this remake. We're not done with it yet. I really think that they could get away with like using the same style for like 2 or 3 more games at least. And so definitely seeing that expansion, but like maybe just adding some different moves, or even making more characters playable like Squidward or Mr. Krabs, and giving them their own special moves as well. I think that's just the easy way to go, and I think I'd rather them keep it simple rather than try to complicate it, at least for the first new SpongeBob game in like such a long time, you know. One thing though that I would love to see them pursue in the future, I don't necessarily want them to do this for like the next game, but one thing I would love to see in the future, you know, ever since I played that Simpsons Hit and Run mod with SpongeBob, I feel like that would be such a great concept for a SpongeBob game, because like it actually makes sense to drive like a maniac in like a SpongeBob version of that game, because SpongeBob can't drive. So it makes complete sense that you would drive in such a manner, completing missions all around the town and still doing some platforming kind of like BFBB as well. And so I definitely think that that's something I would love to see the team pursue in the future, not for like a direct sequel to Rehydrated, but definitely something that I hope they saw and thought, hey, this is a good idea, we should look more into this.
Definitely. I mean, I remember playing stream and really liking it, and I could definitely see it possibly working out to a certain extent. It'd be very interesting seeing that kind of gameplay style come back for a SpongeBob game though. Instead of, you know, a lot of people really want Simpsons Hit and Run to sort of be remade, so it'd be interesting to see like this game that takes inspiration from it come out out before the actual remake does.
It'd also be cool to see like this game take inspiration from a game that took inspiration from another game as well. Definitely some Inception type. I'll definitely say that. I think we talked about a lot of like awesome ideas, and you definitely should make that video because I would definitely watch it and let other people know about it. But did you have anything else you wanted to talk about in terms of gameplay or anything with a sequel?
Nah. I just want to give a huge shout out to THQ Nordic for taking their time with this game, putting all the love and effort into it that you possibly could. The past few times that I've played it at PAX and just seeing all this stuff, you know, arise to the surface from the ocean down below. It's really exciting to see a childhood game come back to life in a brand new kind of way, and I really do look forward to what you might have planned for this franchise.
And I will definitely second that. You know, after playing it at PAX myself and talking to y'all personally, you know, I'm really enthusiastic about what y'all are gonna do with this in the future. You know, SpongeBob is such a rich franchise, and I definitely can tell that y'all recognize that and y'all want to take full advantage of it. And so I'm definitely looking forward to what y'all bring to the table, and I'll definitely be one of the people covering it. So
Yep. Keep up with writers. You're gonna want to.
Yeah, I'll just stay obsessive for the rest of my life. But thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed this discussion. I hope you all have been enjoying the relief as well, because like I said, this video will hopefully be coming out during the last few hours of the relief. And just, yeah, from Dave and myself, stay spongy. Wow, guys, that is it for today's show. Let me know what your favorite part of the show was, and let me know what you think about the Rehydrate release so far. Again, like from the bottom of my heart, like thank you to everyone who supported this, you know, all the people that streamed for the event, all the people that would attend all the events, all the people that donated, all the people that just gave us encouraging words in the stream. You know, every single person's contribution to this event has been amazing, and it just really warms my heart. And just thank you guys. I'm getting really emotional actually, so thank you so much. Okay, I don't know how else to end this video, so I'm just gonna end it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, subscribe to my channel if you like videos like these, want to see more in the future. Follow me on Twitter or Twitch, and join my Discord server, the Spongy Garden. Shout out to Team Route Sign Gamer, Glitched Outfit, New Gamer Hub, Dennis Jr., Shara Rainfall, Mass Muner, Abraham Muner, Andrew Coughlin, and the Nerd Corner. These are my patrons/YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member, get access to a whole bunch of different perks, then please check out my links in the description box below. But alright guys, this is Riders, riding out.